Good morning. So let's start now. So here we are today. So basically today we will be discussing some unique ways in which we can develop our PhD effectively and in a proper and in a very good manner. All right. So let's start. Okay. So we all have an idea that thesis writing can be challenging for both students and supervisors, especially in coming up with thesis which receives a positive report from examiners. In order to get a positive report from examiner, one should, be clear that the examiner should be clear about your what all you have in your mind, that your data analysis, that you have a merit in your thesis. All right. So, and the conclusions and any recommendations are based on the concrete evidence. One should strive to ensure that on reading on reading your thesis, your examiner should be able to sense the efforts that you have been made on resorting the topic, researching, challenges that you have faced. Okay. So, it is, it is very to provide justice to your thesis. So, to be honest, very less number of people have the skills or experience to get it all down with ease. Okay, so basically, like during their early attempts, students struggle to construct and sustain a coherent academic argument. So further in subsequent stages of thesis writing, students lack proper guidance, constructive criticism. Proper guidance is very important, as you all know. So today, the purpose of this webinar is to help you all to produce a thesis that passes the expectations of your guide, your university, and without any rejections and revisions. So shall we start? Okay. To discuss about the 15 unique tips that you can use while developing your PhD thesis. Okay. So first tip number one, that is your topic and proposal. Finalize your topic and proposal. First and foremost thing a scholar should be concerned about is the research topic. We all have some ideas related to our research. However, implementing those ideas and narrowing it down to a specific topic is the challenging part, right? So, plus the topic must be unique and fresh is the main, it adds salt to it. So, the topic should be fresh and unique and it should be original, right? So, once you finalize your topic, then we can proceed further with the research proposal development. So, research proposal basically provides you a shape to your ideas. Yes, you have finalized the topic, but what now? Start planning about what all you want to state in your research. Finalize your objectives of the research. Now, objectives are the main crux of entire thesis. If your objectives are not clearly stated in your thesis, your supervisor would not be really happy with it. So finalize your topic and proposal before you even plan to start your thesis. Right. So now we're proceeding with the tip number 2. Check your university guidelines. Check with your university regarding the specifications for the thesis. Check with your guide regarding the specific layout for the thesis or any specification consider. While the keep it in the development of your thesis. You are ignoring the not following the institution's requirements, you will face an issue in the end. So it's plan accordingly and start fresh with your university guidelines keeping in mind. So moving on to tip number 3, fix the word count of your thesis. Always fix the word count of your thesis before even planning to start your thesis. Before we plan scientifically regarding the content and methods in your mind, start with limiting your word count of thesis. standard length required by universities are approximately 150 pages. You pages, but maximum should be pages. But some, some supervisors are very much resistant regarding the length of 250 pages. It should be 200 pages. So it is better you can first regarding the word count of your thesis, so that you can have how much word count do you want to cover the entire research work, how much word count, right? So moving on to tip number 4, that is plan the word count of each chapter. Of this word count for each chapter. Start. You can cover maximum like 40 pages for introduction. Basically, you can create a division of all the chapters. Literature review is the lengthiest chapter of your thesis. Okay, so 200 pages for the, you can divide like introduction can be covered in 15 pages. Inclusion, you cannot define the length of your right. All plan accordingly. Always keep your okay, and do not divide your not lengthy and another chapter is too short. I guess my voice is breaking. So is it audible now? Is it audible properly now? Okay, is it audible now? Okay, okay. Moving on further. Moving on to tip number 5. That is layout of your thesis. Layout is basically a blueprint of your thesis. Basically, you can divide your chapters in specific like what all chapters do you want to cover, what are the subheadings of those chapters. Start with giving a structure to your thesis, right? You can like what all your introduction chapter must take, you should cover subheadings you want to cover in research methodology. Basically, layout a blueprint that you can cover all your chapters, all your subheadings. Clearly state the aim of research. Always according to the layout of your thesis is must. You can have a to pursue further with my thesis, how I want to develop my aims and objectives, and what are the methodology I want to follow, what will be the proposed outcomes from that methodology, what will be the findings, what will be the conclusion. So all these things will be pre-planned, so you can clearly in your mind you can have a better understanding regarding the thesis, right? So the next step for your thesis development would be this. Your topic research proposal. Check with your lines first before even thinking about proceeding further. Fix the word count of your thesis. Divide the word count so that you can have a better planning that what all should be included in each chapter, and then proceed further with the layout development, a blueprint of your thesis. Any questions for me? Okay, so we are proceeding. Tip number 6, find the references for each chapter. See, we have to include the references is in each and every chapter. All right. So it is better to, just to cover all your references, just collect all your references and then divide accordingly that which chapter my uh, one I want to cover in each chapter. So find always find references for each chapter before planning for. So try not to use the references older than 10 years. Past 10 years references will maintain the consistency and reliability. Also, referencing style beforehand. Many referencing styles like etc. Regarding the referencing style, regarding the references if they have any specifications. So plan accordingly. Move on, that is fix the each chapter. Always and always, you should always and always know when do you want to end your thesis. Always deadline for each and every chapter. Sometimes supervisors use words such as you are nearly there. Always keep a track of deadlines you have set for your research work. Plan the deadline will help you to complete your entire thesis in the set deadline. Start with the chapter. So, that I want to complete my introduction chapter in say 5 months, for approximately within 5 months. I have a basic, have a summation 9 months so that I chapters can develop in 3 months and I can proofread both the chapters I can submit. Moving on to this, prefer quality rather than quantity. Some of the best theses that I have read was relatively short and sharp. For some, like to use thick theses, and they think that the more pages there are, better. The opposite. Theses written with precise and segmentation are often the best in their presentation. So always prefer quality. Do not use too many tables. Do not use unnecessary figures. Avoid using material into your research. Try to be significant, and your work should be reliable. So moving on to next tip, that is, am I audible to everyone? Okay, is it audible now? Okay. So, okay, moving on to that is, start with literature review chapter. Literature chapter is the length your theme. Start with literature review. While working on the literature review, identify the variables used for the study, frame hypothesis, and based on the finalized hypothesis, build your questionnaire. Conceptual framework and your questionnaire can be developed as per your hypothesis. So always, frame your hypothesis first. Okay, it will be easy for you to frame the rest of your thesis. So always start with the literature review chapter, and do not forget that this should be the lengthiest chapter in your thesis. Okay, so moving on to next step, that is study is done to respondents. Before proceeding to the analysis of the data collected by you, Check the reliability and validity of the questionnaire. You can identify if any modifications are required at this stage. It will help you to prevent your revisions, your rejections, and everything. So go for the small sample size and check the reliability of your data before analysis. So moving on to next step. I hope everybody is clear till now. We call it, okay. So first is research topic and your research proposal. Okay. Then check your university guidelines. Check with your university if specifications they have for you. Then fix the word count for your thesis. The word count your thesis of proceeding further. Then plan the word count for each chapter. Make a layout of your thesis for each. Prefer quality quantity. Do not go. Just your content, your material should be original, should be unique, and should be different from others. Next would be start with the literature review chapter. It will give you a basic framework and then go for the pilot study. Now moving on to next tip, that is tip number 11, statistical tools. Go for simple study. Like do not use any vast or which is not relevant to your study. You know, it will make your study more complex, and reader will find it difficult to find relevance in your research regarding that tool. So always go for the simple statistical tools and avoid using too vast or too unnecessary unnecessary informations, unnecessary researches, and avoid using it. So moving on to tip number 12, that is get rid of language errors. Language errors. Do not mistake in terms of your language. You are basically going for a PhD thesis submission. So use of appropriate tenses and correct grammar is must. Be careful while taking language check. It seems highly unprofessional when your supervisor point out such mistake. Do not forget the level of qualification you are working for. Your language before even submit a simple update to your guide. Number 3 will be develop your own way. Number 13 would be develop a way of doing your research work. Take into account everything your supervisor attend to their suggestions about revisions to your work, but also be true to your own style of writing. It is the most constructive way of writing thesis. You can still absorb something of how they write and effective, compelling, and believable. So develop your own way of writing. If you are taking other words from others as well, so just try to write it in your own way. So moving on to next tip, that is tip number 14, read it out loud while proofreading. And don't underestimate the time that proofreading might take. Reading out loud means you actually have to read the words and your brain has to compute them. So many spelling errors or really long sentences can be spotted a mile off. You know, we always say that reading out loud is, you know, we can identify the mistakes, we can identify where we are going wrong. So always read it out, proofreading. Now moving to our last tip, that before submitting, don't forget to check these points. Check whether your thesis is in a logical flow or it is, you know, structured properly. Avoid repetitions in your thesis, and then you are good to go. You can submit your thesis to the institution and wait for their positive report. So I hope everybody is clear. Okay, tip number 13, we have to repeat again. Okay. So tip number 13 is develop your own way. Developing your own way is basically when we are taking material from others, like we are using some others' work, or we are using some others' words. Take into account everything, just note it down, but do not share it, do not completely write it as per they have written it. In your own way. Use your own way of developing the thesis. It would feel more constructive, it would feel more reliable. So I hope this step is clear. So I hope these tips would be useful to you. And in case of any queries, you can comment in the chat box. Our support team will assist you with all your queries. And thank you for your time. Thank you. Have a good day. Further with your thesis, just plan a layout or develop the layout of your thesis. Start with giving structure to your thesis. You're starting with introduction till the end, till the conclusion chapter. It must tell the reader the problem you are tackling in this project and how you aim to deal with this problem. All right. So always, basically, it will provide a shape to your thesis. It will help you to develop a shape to your thesis. Your introduction chapter must include the research background, research questions should be included. Your aims and objectives, that is the must, should be included. All the things in the introduction chapter should basically state the aim of your study and the topic you have finalized. Now, literature review. Literature review is basically the lengthiest chapter, as I told you previously. So, literature review should be should not be used last references of more than 10 years. So, try to use latest references. It will give a reliability and basically it will more significant. It will make more significant to your research work. Now, moving on to research. Your research methodology should include the methods that you are going to apply while the methods that you are going to use while the development of your methodology, your fulfilling your aims and objectives. Your research design should be planned. Your analysis of the data should be planned. Statistical tools that you are going to use should be properly taken care of. Avoid using too much of like the lengthiest tools or the complex tools. Just move on with the simple work and use what is significant to your research work. Now moving on to the discussion and conclusion chapter. Discussion and conclusion should basically include your what are the implications that you have used, your results from the methods that you have used. Formal way. Reader is not interested in reading what you have written in your entire thesis. Just include the most and conclude your thesis. Just do not too much complex or too much long to read. Reader is not interested in again what you have included in entire thesis. So just include your important points and make it in a formal way. So I hope everybody is clear with the and I hope these tips would be useful to you. And any questions you can just comment on this chat box, and our support team will be helping you with the same. And thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Have a good day.